Hey, I just want to give a heads up whenever we're post frame and metal. We did our spray foam ourselves, and I did a test before. When I spray foamed, it didn't really push out on the metal, but there was multiple people spray foaming in the family, and if we kind of angled the spray foam down around a 2x4, which would go, let me back up to where we're at here, which would go across here. Then it did push out on the metal a little bit. And the one case would be right here. And we had some water leak around this window. I didn't know why, but you can, if you look up here, you see a bow up there. And it might have, the metal might not have been as tight as it could have been. I don't know. But the spray foam pushing around there definitely pushed it out. So I'm coming back and I'm putting some screws down under here along the window line. Because if you look at this gap here, the water can get down there, but how does it drain? It has to drain underneath, mostly underneath these ridges here. But there's only a 1/4 inch gap there, and if we have a torrential flood, downpour, then it can hit this, and just due to the water pressure alone, in between these ridges, push up, and then it can go next to the 2x4, which goes horizontal right here. And then it can seep around, and that's not good, especially when you have closed cell spray foam. So it's not going to go that way, and that's fine for us, but for the structure it's not good because it traps water back there. So that's why your metal does have these ridges, and there's the way it overlays, it allows some air gap for drying in those ridges. So got to be careful about filling those ridges up. And so anyway, still we don't have the top trim here. You can see how far behind we are. And just taking a day at a time with my health here, because that's been the big factor lately. It's been difficult. So that's funny. I thought down here would be the important part to get the extra screws in, but it was up here too. So I'm going to go ahead and put the extra screws in on the tops around the house to cover that issue. And I did some caulking in some areas. Now what I might end up doing, because one on the end, and especially on this side, well actually this whole side will have solar panels, and part of the other side will have a porch, so there won't be anything coming down. So it's mainly the ends we want to work with, but still I want to have it as if there's a torrential downpour. In fact, I'll probably take the hose out here and test these just to make sure we're good. But I might use some, if you look in here, I'm thinking about, if it doesn't drain well, let's say we cut it really nice and it was down like 1/8 of an inch and doesn't allow drainage except for around the little gap right here. I don't know if you can see that little gap. So when the water comes down this wall and it hits this cavity in between these two ridges with a lot of downforce, it's filling up and it's going over and it's putting pressure up into these ridges, which are hollow up through there, at least by the 2x4, unless we spray foam really hard and it went down the inside of that gap there on the other side of the ridge. So just showing a potential issue. I went with these windows here because I didn't have to do J trim. I just love that. I mean, I don't like doing J trim. Now I'm gonna have to do that. I did it around the doors, but this is clean to me. And if we wanted to build something to put around that window, some type of trim, we could, but it wouldn't be another piece of metal with seams next to other metal. And anyway, I just like this one clean direction of water going out. I just did not calculate that downward pressure, the water coming down so hard and filling those gaps and pushing upward in there. So just wanted to throw that out there for future reference. If you're doing this method, or even if you did have the J trim, the metal J trim, it's the same issue. You want them, well, I mean, you can put the insulation strip behind there. That would help. I didn't think to do that. I didn't think it was necessary because we spray foam. So, but even though we spray foam, there are little gaps here and water can press up. So just a little note for people who are thinking about doing this. Look, I had some rough edges here, but it's hid by this trim. So I like the windows with the trim in it. And I don't know, these are cheaper windows, but they're not the big factor here. The house is going to be so airtight. I didn't care about letting controlled air in certain places. But they're going to be fine because it's a passive solar design. And see, I don't have, this is the bad, well, not as bad as the other side with the trim on top and then the corner trim. I haven't done the corner trim here yet either. But passive solar means that the solar panels will cover the sidewalk horizontally, and they're going down at an angle. And that angle and the width here provides that in the summertime the sun never touches this side here because the solar panels will have the shade that just cover down to the bottom. And then when it becomes spring, then fall, the sun will start to touch the bottom of the wall here and start to provide some heat, and then into the winter it'll provide heat up to half this wall and direct into the windows slightly. So that was the design. I did a lot of thinking with this design, and we'll give you future updates on the interior design. I've just, past 3 or 4 months, my health has just put me at a standstill. It's been difficult with transformed migraine and the chronic fatigue and all that other good stuff, nausea. But I figured it out. It was magnesium glycinate was one factor, and vitamin D3 was another factor. And if you have a very sensitive system and have been exposed to mold toxin in the past and have allergies and different things, then you might want to consider that. But that taking vitamins actually held up my recovery by probably a year. I think a year ago I was much better than I am today, so it's kind of sad to say, but I know I'm going to be recovering now, just going all natural. Anyway, it's another subject. I was just going to show you guys the window trim here and going on a rant, but yep. Okay, good luck if you're doing this. I'd suggest probably extra screws before you spray foam down here by the window, and then that would solve it. Then there probably wouldn't be any issue. But you do have to consider these cavities here that can have a little bit of water push into them. That's not good. So you might want to consider the spray foam can and the tube going up inside of there just a little bit on each of these, or caulking like I did this one, which is kind of overkill, but I'm probably going to end up filling these gaps here. And I started to say this before, with concrete gap filler. It's self-leveling, and it'll harden but still be flexible, and you can fill these gaps, and therefore the water would just basically, since this one the metal was cut so close, it doesn't allow the drainage. And then once I did the caulking in the gaps, I did silicone, then it kind of blocked more water. So I'm just going to fill those cavities there, and then the water will just push out if it happens to hit this wall, which it won't be because it's all going to be shaded, but it is right now before we have our solar hooked up. These are the posts here that are going to go along this sidewalk wall on the outside. Every 8 feet will be a post, and then those posts will support the solar panels, which will be attached right underneath that lip right there. So all water and snow will be directed this way. And I might have a little extra roofing thing here, but this is our mini split. This is going to go right where it's at, probably in between, by one of those posts, and supported 3 feet off the ground, I'd say, at least, due to our snow potential coverage, and not just the snowfall we'd get, which is usually just a foot or two, at most. But if it's sliding off this roof, it can become a deal. So I might have it 4 feet off the ground here, just to allow for that, so that won't get in the wintertime way. And that's a 2-ton mini split, extremely efficient, and it will work down to negative 18 degrees, I believe, or 24 or 22, somewhere in that range, negative. So that means it'll be more like 50% capacity at that range, which is pretty impressive when you think about pulling heat off of that cold air and then transferring it into the house. That's crazy. But we'll test that out in the future. But I do need to rest my back. I did have the back injury in December, and I was riding a lawnmower today and it kind of did a little jerk, and it kind of bent my back backwards right where that spot is. No bueno. So might be down a day or two, But I wanted to give you the heads up about these things. I'm going to come through all these now and put some screws in. Just be safe, and then I'll consider either caulking up in the cavity there, or like a pest deterrent spray foam type of thing. So that's the plan. You guys have a blessed week. I haven't been doing stuff lately, and it's like a few hours per week that I actually end up doing something. Today was mowing, where we just had to clear a fence line, and I just did chainsawing a few days ago. So I'm on the mend. It'll return, but it's mostly fatigue these days, and I'm starting to rest through the night, which is amazing, but I still feel tired all day, so that's interesting. But I think my body is just catching up from an overstimulated state for about 7 or 8 months. So with all those vitamins, I'm not taking anything now except for occasional vitamin C, magnesium malate, but not that often. And I eat pumpkin seeds for the magnesium. That's very important. And I do my electrolytes as well with potassium citrate powder with that salt water. So that's what's the deal these days. Look at this. This is our, man, I can't wait for this junky mess to be done, you know, on the house, in the house, and on our garage or whatever, the solar panel shed that will have to go right here. And then we'll have parking, I think, for maybe 5 vehicles or so here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, you know, are stacked around, we can probably have 10 vehicles if they stack them around on this side too. So that's important to us because fellowship is important. We want to have fellowship, be connected in the body of Christ, even locally, even though we have that online through our Morning Star Fellowship and our Connect group that we've been meeting weekly. So we've been doing that for years, and because we've been on the road. But man, this is just becoming like a little update. I keep on hearing, oh, that's Millie? Who's whining? Yeah, that's Nubian. They like to whine. She's part Nubian, mostly Nubian, I guess. Is that you whining? Is that you? She likes attention. Is that you whining? Huh? Come over here. Come say hello. Here she is. This is Millie. And she had a hard winter. Miranda really took care of her. And she's getting better now. And she's producing more and more milk for us. And I'm drinking her milk every day. Thank you, Millie. And this is Winnie, who will be the next generation. And we want to get them into a rotation so that we'll have milk all year round. And cheese and butter and all that good stuff. She's a little sweetie, cutie pie, and we have a lot of those over there too. So it's fun to have animals. I'd like to get out and enjoy these things more, and I will, God willing, in due time. And just trying to be patient with that process. I'm not in charge, just learning as I go, and thankful for His grace even through difficult times. Yeah. All right, guys. That was a bit of an update. I want to put that label of the windows in the title though, because I think people need to know that part. It's important to know this is the first time I built a post frame myself from scratch. So just little details like that can save somebody a little bit of hassle.